All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about using U-substitution with definite integrals. And so if you're not familiar with U-substitution, you can check out our previous lesson where we looked at how to solve indefinite integrals using U-substitution. But now we're going to look at how to solve integrals with bounds, right? Definite integrals. And so to demonstrate how we're going to solve definite integrals with U-substitution, we're going to look at this example right here. We have the integral from 1 to 2 of 2x times the quantity x squared minus 3 squared dx. And so we'll start by finding the antiderivative of our function here, or taking the integral of it using u-sub, and then we'll talk about how we're going to evaluate it from there. And remember, when you're using U-substitution, you want to ask yourself, do I see a function and its derivative? And in this case, I know that the derivative of x squared is 2x, and so I see a function and its derivative. And so I'm going to want to set u equal to that function. And if you're not a fan of that method, you could also just try to find your function that is inside a composite function, right? We have this quantity of x squared minus 3 squared, so it's probably a good idea to at least try setting u equal to that inside function inside this quantity, right? So that is another way that you could decide what to set u equal to. But either way, if we let u equal to x squared minus 3, and then we take the derivative of that, we'll have du dx is equal to 2 multiplied down, and then we subtract 1 from the exponent to have 2x to the power of 1, right? But we don't typically write that power of 1. And then a derivative of negative 3 is just 0 because negative 3 is a constant. And so then if we solve for du by multiplying both sides of the equation by dx, we'll have that du is equal to 2x dx. And so we can replace 2x and dx in our integral here with du, and we can replace x squared minus 3 with u, right? That's what we set this equal to. And so if we rewrite our integral here, we will have that this is equal to the integral from 1 to 2 of u squared times du. Right, so we replaced x squared minus 3 with u, and so we just have u squared, so that's u squared right here, and we replaced 2x and dx with du, right? Du is equal to those two terms multiplied together, and so we can substitute those out for du. And so then notice that I have our integral and our two bounds, right, our lower bound and our upper bound, written in a different color than our u squared and du. And I did that on purpose. That's because I want you to pay attention to what these bounds represent. If we go back to our original integral here, what this integral represents is the area under this function from x equals 1 to x equals 2, right? So these two bounds are values of x equals 1 and x equals 2. They are not values of u. And so when we integrate this function, it's important to remember not to plug these values of x into your antiderivative defined with u. And so to keep that in mind so that you do not make a mistake, it might be helpful for you to write that this means x equals 2 and this is x equals 1. And so what we could do in our second step here is write that in our bounds, that x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 1, that means the same thing. We're still taking the integral from x equals 1 to x equals 2 of u squared du, where u is equal to x squared minus 3, right? This is still a valid way to write this integral. And so if we go through the integration process, if we use the power rule for integration on u squared, this will be equal to u to the third power divided by 3, and that will be evaluated from x equals 1 to x equals 2. Right, so we added 1 to our exponent, so 2 plus 1 is 3, and then we divided by that new exponent. And now this is what our lesson is all about. Now what do? Now that we integrated u, how are we going to evaluate it from x equals 1 to x equals 2? Well, there's actually two different methods here. And so I'll start with the first method. The first method is going to just be to replace u with what you set it equal to. We'll just plug x squared minus 3 back into u, and then we will evaluate it as normal as we would with any other definite integral. And so in that case, you would have that this is equal to x squared minus 3 quantity cubed divided by 3, and that is evaluated from 1 to 2. And so then to evaluate this, we would first plug 2 into our function, and so we would have that this is equal to 2 squared minus 3, and that will be cubed, divided by 3, and then we would subtract plugging 1 into this function. And so we'd have 1 squared minus 3 cubed divided by 3. And then 2 squared would be 4, so 4 minus 3 would be 1, and 1 cubed is just 1, so this would be equal to 1/3, and then we would subtract 1 squared minus 3, that would be 1 minus 3, which would be -2, and -2 cubed is -8, and so then we'd have -8 divided by 3. And then these two negatives would become positive, and so we'd have 1/3 plus 8/3, which would be equal to 9/3, which is equal to 3. And so that is one way that we could evaluate this definite integral. But there is a second method. And so if I clean up my work a little bit here, our second method is going to look like this. Instead of replacing u with what it is equal to, we will instead change what variable our bounds are defined with. And so instead of having these defined with x, we could have them defined with u, right? Because we know that u is equal to x squared minus 3. That's what we set it equal to. If we plug these values of x into this equation and solve for u, then we'll have bounds that are defined with u. And so let's set this up. We're still going to have that this is equal to u cubed divided by 3, but then it's going to be evaluated from some value of u to another value of u. So we'll start with our lower bound. We're going to plug 1 into what u is equal to. And so we'll have that u is equal to 1 squared minus 3, and so that will be equal to 1 minus 3, so that means that the lower bound would be u equals -2, so we'd have u equals -2, and then for our upper bound, where x equals 2, we'll plug 2 into what u is equal to, and so we'll have that u is equal to 2 squared minus 3, and that will be equal to 4 minus 3, which will be equal to 1. And so that means that our upper bound will be u is equal to 1. Right, so now we went from evaluating this definite integral with bounds of x to evaluating this definite integral with bounds of u. And so we no longer need to replace u with what it is equal to in terms of x. We can just plug these values of u right into this antiderivative. And so this will be equal to plugging 1 into this function. So we'll have 1 cubed divided by 3, and then we'll subtract plugging -2 into this function. So we'll have -2 cubed divided by 3. And so 1 cubed is 1, so we have 1/3, and then we're subtracting -2 cubed divided by 3, and so we're going to have -8 divided by 3. And so we have that this is equal to 1/3 minus -8/3, which should look familiar. That's what we had in our previous calculation. Now I erased that step to make some space, but that's the same thing we got over here. This reduced to 1/3, and this reduced to -8/3. And so then if we subtract -8/3 from 1/3, or add 1/3 and 8/3 together, we will still get 9/3, which is equal to 3. And so either way, no matter which method you use, you're still going to get the same answer. And so both of these methods are going to be completely viable options of ways to solve this definite integral. It all comes down to preference, whether you like to just replace u with what it is equal to and evaluate with x, or if you want to find some new bounds defined with u and solve it that way. It really is a matter of preference because it's going to get you the same answer. And so let's take a look at another example of solving a definite integral with U-substitution. All right, so for our next example, we have the integral from 0 to pi divided by 8 of cosine of 4x dx. And so in this case, we're going to want to set u equal to 4x, right? If we have this composite function here, 4x is the inside function, and that's going to be a good choice for what we want to set u equal to. And so we'll have that u is equal to 4x. And so if we take the derivative of that, we'll have that du dx is equal to 4, right? We take the derivative of x to the first power. It's just going to be equal to the constant that's being multiplied by that variable, so 4. And then if we solve for du, du will be equal to 4 dx. And so once again, if you look at our integral here, we don't have another 4 anywhere in here that can be replaced with du. And so we're going to have to divide that 4 over to the other side so that we can just replace dx, which is what we have over here, with du divided by 4. And so we'll have that du divided by 4 is equal to dx. All right, so now we can replace dx with that term. And so now if we rewrite our integral in terms of u, this will be equal to the integral from x equals 0 to x equals pi divided by 8 of cosine of u times du divided by 4. And so then we can pull out this 1/4 to the front of our integral, and we'll have that this is equal to 1/4 times the integral from x equals 0 to x equals pi divided by 8 of cosine of u du. And we know that the integral of cosine is sine. And so our next step is that we'll have that this is equal to 1/4 times sine of u evaluated from x equals 0 to x equals pi divided by 8. All right, and so now at this step, do not plug in pi over 8 and 0 into this function yet, right? These are values of x, and our function here is defined with u. And so now we get to the point in this problem where we want to pick how we want to evaluate this definite integral. We can either change our bounds to be in terms of u, or just substitute back what we set u equal to into this function. And so for this example, I'm going to go with that second option. I'm going to plug what u is equal to back into our function and then evaluate it in terms of x. And so this will be equal to 1/4 times sine of 4x evaluated from 0 to pi over 8. And so now we can evaluate our function on the bounds defined with x. And so if we do that, I'm going to do it up here. This will be equal to 1/4 times sine of 4 times pi divided by 8 minus sine of 4 times 0. And so 4 times pi divided by 8 will be equal to pi over 2, right? This 4 and this 8 can be reduced. And so this will just be pi over 2. And then sine of 4 times 0, that's going to be sine of 0. And sine of 0 is 0. And so we'll have that this is equal to 1/4 times sine of pi divided by 2 minus 0. And so really, it's just 1/4 times sine of pi over 2. And sine of pi over 2 is just 1. And so this is equal to 1/4 times 1, which is equal to 1/4. And so that is the final answer to this definite integral. Let's look at one more final example for this video. All right, so for our last example, we have the integral from 1 to 16 of 1 divided by the square root of x times the quantity 1 plus the square root of x squared. And so this integral looks a little tricky at first. It's not going to be very obvious what we're going to want to set u equal to, but when in doubt, always look for a function that is inside another function, meaning that you have a composite function somewhere within your integral. And so in this case, we have this quantity of 1 plus the square root of x squared. And so I think setting 1 plus the square root of x is going to be a good choice for what we should set u equal to. And so we'll have that u is equal to 1 plus the square root of x. And if we take the derivative of this, we'll have that du dx is equal to the derivative of 1, which is 0, because 1 is a constant, and then a derivative of the square root of x. And remember that you could rewrite this to be 1 plus x to the 1/2 power, and so then we could use the power rule on x to the 1/2 power, and we would have that the derivative is equal to 1/2 times x to the negative 1/2 power, right? We multiply 1/2 down, and then we subtract 1 from the exponent, so we have negative 1/2. And so then if we rewrite this, instead of x to the negative 1/2 power, we can move that negative power to the denominator and have a positive 1/2 power, and then we could switch it back to the square root, and so we'll have that du dx is equal to 1 divided by 2 times the square root of x. And then if we multiply dx to both sides, we can solve for du, and we'll have that du is equal to 1 divided by 2 times the square root of x dx. And so now if we look at our integral here, do we have a 1 divided by 2 times the square root of x dx within the integrand? And so I see we have a 1 divided by the square root of x right here, but I don't see a 2 in the denominator. And so because I don't see that, we're going to want to multiply that to the other side of our equation. So we'll have that 2 du is equal to what we do see in our integral here. So let me show you what I mean. We'll multiply 2 to both sides, and we'll have that 2 du is equal to 1 divided by the square root of x dx. And so now if we look at this integral, I see dx right here, that can be replaced. And I see 1 divided by the square root of x, which is right here, 1 divided by the square root of x. And so both 1 divided by the square root of x and dx can be replaced by 2 du. And so if we rewrite this integral to be in terms of u, this will be equal to the integral from x equals 1 to x equals 16 of 1 divided by u squared times 2 du. Right, so we replaced 1 plus the square root of x with u, right? That's what we set it equal to. And so we just have u squared. And then this 1 divided by the square root of x and dx is replaced with 2 du. That's what we found over here. And so now if we pull this 2 to the outside, as well as make this exponent negative, so it's in the numerator, we'll have that this is equal to 2 times the integral from x equals 1 to x equals 16 of u to the negative second power du. And so now if we integrate this function, we can use the power rule for integration. We can add 1 to the exponent and then divide by that new exponent. So we'll have that this is equal to 2 times u to the power of negative 1 divided by negative 1, and that is still evaluated from x equals 1 to x equals 16. And so then 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2, and so we can rewrite that as well as move this u to the negative first power to the denominator. And so then we'll have that this is equal to negative 2 divided by u evaluated from x equals 1 to x equals 16. And so now if we clean up our work a little bit here, our next step is where we have that decision. Do we want to change our bounds to be in terms of u or to be values of u, or do we want to replace u with what it is equal to? And so while it doesn't matter which method you use, this time I'm going to choose to change our bounds to be values of u. And so we'll plug 16 and 1 into what we set u equal to and find some new bounds that are values of u. And so first we'll have that u is equal to 1 plus the square root of 1. That is, if we start with our lower bound here, where x equals 1, and that will be equal to 2, because 1 plus the square root of 1 is 1 plus 1, which equals 2. And so then we'll have that this is equal to negative 2 divided by u, evaluated from u equals 2. And then for our upper bound, we have x equals 16. And so if we plug that in, we'll have u is equal to 1 plus the square root of 16. And that will be equal to 1 plus 4, because the square root of 16 is 4, and that will be equal to 5. And so that means that our upper bound will be u is equal to 5. And so now we can evaluate this antiderivative from u equals 2 to u equals 5. And so this will be equal to negative 2 divided by 5, right? We plug 5 in for u, and then we will subtract negative 2 divided by 2. We plugged 2 in for u in this case. And so negative 2/5 can't be reduced, but we do have two negative signs here that will become positive, and 2 divided by 2 is 1, and so this is equal to negative 2/5 plus 1, which will be equal to positive 3/5. And so that is the final answer to this definite integral. All right, and so with that, that was the last example problem for this video. If you want to see some more examples, I'll have an examples video linked at the end of this video, as well as in the description below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the comments. But if you don't have any questions, this is all I had for now. So I will see you next time.